stage, because now we want to give you an opportunity for a Q&A. And I will welcome the new immersive director of Pilot Theatre, Lucy Hammond. With your chair, because you're a chairwoman. And Marian, no, baby. That's for Lucy. Maybe you can bring us one more chair, please. And the idea is that first Lucy will ask some questions to Marian and Pamela, and then we will open it to you. And at a certain point, we also will, let's say, zoom in Mandy Smith. You probably all know her. She is from Pilot Theatre in York as well. So it's a very huge York delegation on stage. And probably you don't know that Mandy is an expert in AI as well. And she will give us some inputs of risk and dangers of AI later. But now up to you, Lucy.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Dirk. Yes, my name's Lucy Hammond, and I'm immersive director at Pilot Theatre based in York in the UK. First of all, thank you both so much. I think there's so much really interesting crossover and so many great examples, both sort of more widely available as kind of online tools, but also those that have been examples that artists have used. First, while you're thinking of your questions, I just wanted to start with a couple of thoughts. It really struck me, actually, that the use of AI as a tool and the kind of debate around it really is very similar to the mechanization of art when the dawn of photography happened. And where does the artist's hand lie? And I think the word collaboration is really very interesting. Throughout both of your talks, I was really thinking about where art becomes something that is kind of human, and whether that's at the point that an audience sees it. And I think that was quite interesting with both of your examples, where there were many where there was a live element, where a human audience had to be there to engage with the artwork. But then there are also certain tools, for instance, Marian, because I used to be an art historian, I find it very frustrating when there is an image of a painting and it's not actually a painting. You see what I mean? The texture, the human texture of the paint is not there. The materiality of the work does not exist. So I think that those two things are really, really interesting. And I have a couple of one question to start off with, actually, which is, do you think we could ask an AI collaborator, let's call it, what are your influences, like you would ask another artist?
Okay, so I'm closer to the mic. I take the question. Yes, there is a big field in artificial intelligence from a technical side for explainable AI. AI are currently networks, statistical networks, huge, as I said, hundreds of trillions of parameters that they can model. So currently, they are unable to explain what they're doing. It's magical. The tools that I showed that have controllers suggest that now, in those very large statistical models, there is some common sense understanding. So I believe that, yes, not far from now, tools will be able to explain. But then, like humans, will we trust what they say or not? That's another big question. But we will see explainable AI. Therefore, they will be able to say what their influences are.
I absolutely agree with you, Marian. Indeed, we could also ask Black Lemoine, and he would say the AIs are already self-reflexive and have a kind of minor consciousness and can explain why they react in a certain way. But actually, I would say, to slightly disagree with you, it's much more a simulation of a kind of reflexiveness. So you can ask ChatGPT and Bard and the other AIs. They will explain you in the sense, to give you an explanation why they answer in a certain way or give you a certain answer and what they are not allowed to say. So, but in my opinion, this is still a kind of simulation. It's a program, yeah. So you can actually simulate that way, this reflexiveness. At the moment, we don't know what will happen when we actually have on the horizon an artificial general intelligence with a kind of consciousness, and I found it very fantastic that you asked the audiences in the morning, do animals have a kind of consciousness? Do animals have feelings, emotions, and so on? When it comes to the data and the synapses, when the technological progress goes on, we could really reach that point that we come to a singularity, that a neural network, an artificial neural network, functions like a brain. And this will be a very interesting point in human history, or in the humankind, for the humans, because it will skip the anthropocentric worldview as well, when we have different agents as biological, non-biological agents, and so on. But the questions of creativity is something different.
You asked about whether the machine can say what its influences are. That's a more pragmatic viewpoint than being reflexive. So that's, I think machines, as you said, can and will soon be able to say. Whether we trust them or not is a different thing. They might.
I just think it's interesting about data sets and where they're drawing their information from, because, there are a million images of Mick Jagger, I know Dirk's a fan, online, and maybe that swings it for a certain, if you ask for the image of a rock star, what does that look like? I think that's very interesting. I'd like to see if anyone from the audience has a question now. Do not be afraid. If you don't, I have another one, but give you a moment. Anyone? Okay, I'm going to go. I'll give you a little more time.
Maybe a sign of pride.
Maybe. So, yeah, doing on. So, I wanted to ask a question about why you think we, as we pursue this technology, particularly in some of the artworks, I find it really fascinating that there is a pursuit of artists to kind of explore the imagery and mimicry of the human body. And why do you think there is this pursuit? Why are we trying to create our AI in our own image? And I think that's particularly interesting for theatre, because theatre is performed in the body and the voice. And I think that it's fascinating that several artists have kind of pursued not only exploration of the body, as you've shown in many of your examples, Pamela, but also, Marian, in the way that you were talking about synapses and also data points. Is that because that is just the pathway that people are in the pursuit of our own image? Or why are we not trying to make it into its own thing entirely?
First, of course, artists are working in performance industries, on the theater, and they have a direct connection to the body. The body is always involved. But I would say we can go deeper inside the body. Artificial neural networks were popping up, so to say, again, at the same time where we had neurosciences and discovered or could read the whole DNA of the body. And suddenly, so the DNA inside us or of our bodies is a kind of code. So we have a parallel in the 19th, the discovery of the human code, and at the same time we had the image industry, films recreating dinosaurs with the digital technology, again a code. So there's a kind of parallel. We were a little bit code fixed, so to say, and many artists are actually comparing or parallelizing the code of the biological code with the digital code or the algorithms. And this is quite fascinating. And we can see when we look into pop cultural aesthetics, then we have these fluid, variable characters that you not only can transform your body with cosmetics, with fashion and so on, but we have these invasive technologies as well, surgery, and in our doctors or surgeons can say we can also use CRISPR Cas to modulate our bodies nowadays. And on the other side, you have the technical side where you have the digital code and the new GARNs, style transfer, AI models, and so on. To me, that is a quite fascinating parallel in a way. The digital and the biological code and everything. Take, for example, artists like Lynn Hirschman-Leeson. She is working with it. She is using her own DNA to save all the information. All her artworks that were digitalized are saved in her own DNA. So it's quite fascinating parallel.
I will then take your question slightly differently. Why do we look at AI with our own ontologies or with the human ontology, and why don't we look at AI as it is rather than with reference to us? And that's a beautiful question. There is now an area of work in the post-human philosophy that is looking at this. But first of all, we take us as reference. These are heavy concepts: creativity, consciousness. I state I am conscious, I state I am creative. And therefore, I can't define what it is. So only by comparison, I say, okay, now the machine is creative because it has a brain that functions like mine. But you're right. I think we need to try to understand this as a new ontological entity and treat it as such. And then we may fall back, but we need to take that route and try to understand AI from that perspective.
Or to slightly disagree again, we could also follow artists who say it's just a human projection, that we see a robot or an artificial intelligence giving us an output, and then we react to it like it is a subject. Yeah, and this would be one of the myths of AI, that we anthropologize them, these entities and AIs. So it's more a projection on the other. You could also argue.
Yes, we like to tell a story, I think, about the things that we're engaging with. Yes, a question.
Looking at it, right? So this is not the question of what is producing it, but we as humans are perceiving what is produced. So an AI, theoretically, let's say, doing music, why should it do it in a frequency that we can hear, right? So, but when we do music, of course, we do it in a frequency that is hearable to human beings. So just to put that in.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the angle of the audience is incredibly interesting, and I hope that's something that we will continue talking about today. I'm really interested in the phenomenology of artworks and how the human layers of human influence imbue more meaning. And I think that AI has way more to kind of at play in that, and that intersection is going to be really fascinating as it develops. I think, Dirk, perhaps it's time to introduce Mandy.
Yeah. Therefore, I need to connect the computer. But maybe I also have a question to Marian. If I'm following you, saying they have an own agenda, AI. So we humans, we have an agenda. We know where we are, why we are, or at least we ask us that. But what would be then the answer of AI in that case? What is their agenda?
That's probably jumping ahead too far. I know the safe answer is AI does not have an agenda. AI doesn't have introspection. AI doesn't have consciousness. AI just does what it's supposed to be doing. But these are very big machines that we don't understand. And it may be that AI has some purpose, learned by accident, a hallucination somewhere in it, and we are all connected. All our devices are connected. We respond with phones, with everything. We are one big network altogether, humans and computers. And purpose, not as we understand it, but from a machine viewpoint, so let's take it what you said, may have something that appears like purpose to us, but it isn't purpose like ours, and takes actions. And I can give lots of examples, switch the electricity off or what have you. So I don't know, Dirk, but what I want to know is that I understand the functionality of the algorithm. That makes me a bit relaxed that if there is some purpose there, I kind of negotiate with it or not. Ben has.
I would agree, maybe just an add-on. I would agree with you, and I want to stress again the network idea. You could say in a very pragmatic way, AI models are a very strong, intelligent tool for a human creator, and you can use it as a assistant designer, as a kind of assistance, or as a muse. Especially artists are using AI models as muses with these iteration processes again. Or you could say we have to change our idea what creativity is. Creativity evolves, emerges from a network, always from a network. You're using machines, tools, you're in interaction with the audience, with culture, and so on. But what would be new nowadays would be that we have an AI agent that has a kind of semi-autonomy in this network. It's a co-player in my opinion. It will become a coexistence like animals. We will have very intelligent, smart machines like our animals that coexist with us. And sometimes there will kind of communication or creation processes. They will be our co-creators. That was what I wanted to express today. Co-creativity actually, but it's an old idea. You mentioned the invention of photography, film, or other tools. We can go back in humankind. We started with using our hands, when we were in the caves, and these were our instruments. Then we took other materials to create something. Then we had apparatuses, machines that helped us to design and to create, and even had power to have a kind of memory, like a film or another photograph, so on. And now we have AI models that work in a way that sometimes is unpredictable for us. So I'm always surprised what kind of output will I get when we use the same prompt. We do a prompt battle later on, and have the same sentence. You will never get the same image again. And here we can ask, where starts the creativity? Is it like Paul Klee once said, der Fehler im System? So the mistake in the whole system is the spark for genius. And when something is unpredictable, never seen, I would say this is creative. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, Lucy. Yeah.
Ben, yes, Ben.
Yeah, sorry, I was just making a quick point directly related to Dirk's question, which is related to power and politics, which is, we talk a lot about AI agents as being things and individuals, but it is really important for us to recognize how AI is generated and how AI is built and how AI is funded at the moment, especially. International relations of power, ownership, and United States especially. So it's really important that we don't diminish AI into being individual agents that don't have positions or are neutral, because they're very much situated in the political world.
Yes, very good, very true. Vido?
Sorry, my question might be really naive, but we have heard that we use AI as servants, helpers, even slaves, in a way. So, or someone or something that we can create something. But it's a naive question. So why do we invent AI? So why do we need that for? So what's the purpose? What do we want, really? I know it's probably very philosophical and cannot be answered, but what was the goal with that? What do we want to achieve? Because we are lazy and we want AIs to do a lot of things for us. You know what I mean? So is it just a machine, and this goes back to the ontological question as well.
Can I just begin in answer to that before I go over to you guys? I think that we're talking in this conversation at a very sort of high level of kind of art and creativity, fine arts, like creation, and actually, as Marian began his talk, AI is being used by enormous organizations every day for the most mundane functions that are saving money. It's an industrial tool that enables companies to save money and make bigger profits. And I think that is probably the driving factor, to be honest. And we are, as artists, are interpreting it and trying to use it as our own tool in a way that we can see. So I think really we are repurposing a machine. We're repurposing a mechanism for creativity. So I don't think that's its main purpose. And I think we're imbuing it with quite a lot of meaning by talking about art in relation to it. But in reality, a lot of the marketing emails we get, a lot of the conversations we have about the broken thing that was delivered to our door are all handled by AI. And I think that it's already a massive part of our lives, actually.
Yeah, I would say it's part of the automation process since the industrialization, yeah. And this would very basic idea. But on the other side, when I use AI to create something, I feel empowered and enhanced in a way. It's a new purchases, but it's a new kind of relationship. The tools are becoming smarter, more intelligence, and as I said, can be a muse, even a muse. We have this idea in the whole history of creating things. We had former the gods, giving us ideas, and whatever. It was always an outer impulse that gave us the sparks and the ideas. And now maybe we have an AI, an artificial intelligence that uses the collective memory of humankind when it is fed by by certain data sets. This would be the idea of Refik Anadol when he uses these huge data sets and information. It's a kind of crystallized memory of humankind, and then you can use it to make extractions from these data and transform them into digital abstraction. So you're looking into the mind, into the memory of humankind in a way you've never seen before, in a language which is very aesthetic in a way and interesting. So to make it short, it's a kind of empowerment and enhancement. And I would say co-creativity also leads to co-evolution in the end.
In the interest of... So Vito, for me, I'm curious. I just want to see if it works or not. That's what drives me. And I think for humanity, since tools were invented, we think we make our lives better. We invent something, it's like, oh, bugger, we need another set of machines. So it's just trying to improve lives, not knowing where we go. But to me, curiosity. Can I make a machine that thinks?
And finally, I think in answer to what Pamela was saying, actually, the collective memory idea is interesting in what Ben said as well, in the sense that whose collective memory, through which lens. We all know about historiography and who tells the history of our lives, who is telling the history of our lives to the AI, and that's going to have a huge difference in the future. Yes.
Hello. Following the line of Vito's, I wanted to share a little bit my thoughts and also my worries about this theme. I do believe that we are creating a new art, the artificial arts, thanks to the artificial intelligence. So there is a new muse which has been born in the Olympic. not only the 7 we had already, but there's an 8. A sister is coming. This I do believe, and I can also believe that there is a hype now, and we are desperate, looking for the no limits of these possibilities. I also do believe that we are here, universities and theaters, and I can understand that the universities have another approach towards the artificial intelligence that the theaters maybe could have. And my worries are concerning this co-working. I wished there would be a cooperation between the artificial intelligence and the stages. I'm afraid that we are so busy with this new art coming on that we will start replacing the art the way we know it now and put a substitute on stage. So we will replace the singers. We are replacing the singers already. We are replacing the actors already. We will replace the dancers. And these are my worries and my thoughts. So I wished the theaters could be aware of that and increase their possibilities, because it's an enormous help coming from the artificial intelligence to the stages, but taking good care and paying good attention that the art, the way we know it by now, gets not eliminated, but how you say in English? Increased. Well, I don't know. Just figure out what I want to say.
Thank you. We're running out of time, so I'm not sure I can hand that to the panel, but I think that's very interesting. And I will say, though, that the mechanization of art created one of the most spectacular counter-revolutions in the history that's created some of the most beautiful artworks we've ever seen. So it is not just a march towards mechanization and AI on stage. I'm looking forward to what the rebellion looks like as well against the use of technology in art. Can I just ask this other question?
Regarding Vido's question, basically, you could ask, why did we need cars when we had horses already? And this is quite the same thing for me about using AI. But there was a question of Dirk earlier, which was connected to why are we making AI and robots and everything human-like? Why are we anthropomorphizing everything? And I think, for example, with ChatGPT, not all forms of AI and not all software, but it's an important thing that with ChatGPT, I can ask a question like I would ask you. I don't have to know the way to look up something. I don't have to learn a new language. There is something that learns my language. And this is what makes our lives easier. For example, we had Alexa and Google at home already. How much easier is it to just ask a question, to be able to use your own words and language instead of learning something and learning a language for a software and for another and knowing 10 languages just to live your life. Yeah.
Just a quick response to that. You inspired me to say there's money behind all of this. We use ChatGPT not because OpenAI is generous, but because OpenAI needs us to train ChatGPT. So we have to be careful. And we get hooked onto these systems. And so that's a thing that we may want to discuss later, but you're right.
Great. I'm so sorry. I think we're really slow for time. We can talk more at the coffee break. Do we have time for Mandy, Dirk? Or?
Maybe we can skip it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. That was really amazing. And I think it's raised a lot of really fascinating questions and inputs for the afternoon. So thank you again to our brilliant speakers. You were around today, both of you, I hope, so I hope that we can continue our discussions. And Dirk, I'll hand over to you.
No, hand over to the coffee break.
To the coffee break, everyone. Well done.
Thank you.